Hey there everyone, Will Marshall here, back with another video. Something a little different today. I want to talk about my thoughts on the Google Pixel 4a that was announced today, Monday, August the 3rd, after many months of speculation and rumours. It's finally dropped. I'm really keen on this device, I should just make clear from the outset, so I've been earmarking this as kind of my next smartphone for a long time. I'm a big fan of Google's Pixel line. I currently own an iPhone XS. That's my current driver. I'm a little bit fed up with using an iPhone. I would like to go back onto Android. I say as a big fan of the Pixel. I had a Pixel 1 before this, so I've been looking at this as a contender for my next smartphone. Okay, so I want to kind of approach this by talking about 5 main factors of the Pixel 4a. So the first I want to touch on its form factor and its design. Secondly, I'd like to talk about the performance and speculate about how the performance might fare against other phones in its category. Thirdly, talk about the I/O and the port selection on this device. Number 4, we'll have a look at the camera, have a think about the camera. And 5, finally, talk about the price and where this kind of sits with other phones in the category. So let's go straight into it. Number 1, the form and design. So I'm actually a big fan of this design. I'm going to go out there and say that I think this is the best looking Pixel smartphone Google have released. I really dig the really simple front design, the single slab of glass with a simple hole punch camera in the top left corner. I'm kind of glad they've gone away from their previous generations where they've opted for sort of slightly larger bezels to fit in multiple cameras on the front, or in the sense that in the case of the Pixel 4, this quite complicated solely radar sensor to do various clever things which never really went anywhere. So I'm really glad they've gone for this. It's a good size as well. It's a 5.81 inch OLED display. Glad that they've gone with no OLED here, not an IPS panel. I'm glad they've kept that sort of premium nature of the screen, because that's a real differentiator when you sort of compare it to the iPhone SE, which is also a device in this category. There aren't many devices actually of this size in this sort of category. Often these days, phone manufacturers are going for ever increasingly large screens. Now, there must be lots of supporting evidence to back all this up. People must be buying more large screen phones, but personally, I'm not a fan of a massive screen phone. This is one thing where OnePlus has never really done it for me, because they only make big screen phones right now. So okay, moving on to number 2, I think the performance of the device is going to be really crucial for this. So Google have gone with a mid-range processor in this device, a Snapdragon 730G, where the G stands for the the variant with increased better graphics performance. It is a mid-range processor, as I say, and no doubts about that. It's not gonna push, it's not gonna challenge the Snapdragon 800 series smartphones that are sort of powering the Android flagships of this year. But then at this price point, you're not really expecting it to. What Google have done is they've paired it with 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage as standard. I think in 2020 that's a pretty modest spec for an Android smartphone in this category. So there are other smartphones of the same sort of similar price range that offer slightly more spec, slightly higher RAM, different sort of processor combinations. The OnePlus Nord is a good example for that. So for me, as long as it works, it's slick to navigate the OS. Now Google's Pixel OS is pretty clean. They opt for a very clean version of Android, so that's obviously a bonus. So there isn't going to be much sort of bloat in there. However, it's the one thing I'm going to really look at when I'm testing this device, because I really want to make sure that the performance will work best for me, and getting that longevity over 2 or 3 years maybe. Google have promised updates, software updates for this for at least 3 years, so I guess that's another big bonus. You're not going to be one of these people waiting year on year for a Samsung update to the next version of Android, and it coming a year or so late. You're going to get kind of up-to-date Android OS updates with this. I guess we should mention the battery as well at this point. The battery is a fairly modest 3,100-ish milliamp hour battery. It's not huge. However, it's coupled with this smaller 1080p OLED display, 60 Hz refresh rate, none of the kind of the higher refresh rates you're seeing on other smartphones. The OnePlus Nord has a 90 Hz refresh rate on that phone. So yeah, I think with that, and coupled with this 730 Snapdragon processor, I think we're going to be sitting in a kind of a fairly efficient range. So, and early tests of this, or early reviews have come out already for the Pixel 4a that have said that the battery is fairly good. It's fairly competent. It's not having to live up to a huge amount, because the Pixel 4 was notoriously bad with its battery life, as was the Pixel 3 before it. Pixel 3 famously improved dramatically on the Pixel 3's battery life. Let's hope in extensive testing that the Pixel 4a does the same for the Pixel 4. Okay, so let's move on to part 3, the ports and the I/O of this device. Now, there's some good news here for I think many fans. So for me, I'm keen to be moving away from my iPhone's Lightning connector back to a USB-C powered phone. All my devices these days run or charge with USB-C. My MacBook Air does, my iPad Pro does, which is my kind of main driver. It'd just be great to be able to get back to having a smartphone with a USB-C where I can take a single charger whenever I go on holiday, whenever I go into work. I haven't got to faff around with having multiple cables there. Having one charger that does everything. That'd be great. I'm looking forward to that. Big fan of all that. Another great addition for 2020 on the Pixel 4a is it has a 3.5mm headphone jack. It's never been a deal breaker for me not having a headphone jack on my smartphone, so my iPhone XS did not have that. I do have wireless headphones for commuting to work. I don't really find I miss the headphone jack that much. One place I do miss it is being able to sort of listen to music at night as you fall asleep. I do that a lot. And charge your phone at the same time. So this is a great plus, I think, because the two main contenders in this category, the OnePlus Nord and the iPhone SE, neither of them have a headphone jack. The Pixel 4a is going to be unique in that sense. The Pixel 4a heralds a return of the rear-mounted fingerprint sensor on a Pixel smartphone. So the 3a had one a year ago. The Pixel 4 ditched that for the solitary face unlock methods on the front, the radar, the Sony radar sensor and all that clever camera work they had up there to kind of take after Apple's Face ID. They did a superb implementation, has to be said, of the face unlock system on the Pixel 4. Everyone reviewed it well. However, I'm a fan of the return of the rear fingerprint sensor. I'll tell you one reason for why is that in this kind of strange COVID-19 pandemic world that we're currently living in, where we're having to wear masks with more frequency, in the UK it's now mandatory to wear masks whenever you're out and about in shops or in restaurants or in the supermarkets and on public transport. So I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon, especially in the UK. So I think having a phone where you don't rely on it looking at your face to unlock the smartphone is a really nice, is a really welcome addition. Okay, so let's talk about the camera on the Pixel 4a. Now, this is the real kind of deal breaker for this smartphone. This is the big selling point. Pixel smartphones are known for their superb cameras. They always have been. The Pixel 1 I had a great camera, and they've only ever gone from strength to strength really with that. The Pixel 4 has a superb camera system. The Pixel 3a took amazing pictures last year for its, for the mid-range spec and phone it was. The Pixel 4a looks to be no exception. It will also do those things. The early results from the reviewers have shown that the pictures taken are very similar to the Pixel 4, which in itself is a flagship smartphone camera from 2019. That punched heavily against the big heavyweights of the division, things like the iPhone 11 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy line. The OnePlus 8 Pro more recently had a superb camera as well. So you're looking at a camera here that can sort of trade blows with those big heavyweights, but costs half the price. So it'd be really interesting to see how this really does perform in real world. The early signs are good. With a Pixel camera, you're getting sort of like the trademark Pixel looking images. They are sort of incredibly vibrant. They have good contrast. They've nailed the HDR. Really, the HDR system on the Pixel is superb in the software. They do a good job. And it takes awesome low light photographs using the night sight settings. I mean, actually on the website at the moment, the product page of the 4a, it's touting some awesome looking space, night sky starscape pictures, which I'm itching to try out when I get one. So yeah, key selling point for the 4a. It doesn't look as though it's going to disappoint us, which is great. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on the Pixel 4a's camera. Okay, right, finally, let's talk about the price and where the Pixel 4a sits in the sort of smartphone, mid-range smartphone landscape in 2020. So the key thing here is the price of the Pixel 4a. It costs £349. They're offering one smartphone, one colour, one configuration, £349. It's an interesting price point here because it undercuts the iPhone SE that was announced earlier in the summer by 50 quid. Actually in the UK it's slightly more, because the UK I discovered the iPhone SE costs £419 for the base model. So it does undercut it by £70 actually. So that's pretty good. I think there are 3 mid-range phones at the moment that are kind of real contenders that all battle out for the best mid-range offering. So you've got the iPhone SE2. That's a great entry-level iOS offering for people who don't want to spend the extortionate money on the high-end iPhones. The OnePlus Nord, which is the new mid-range offering from OnePlus. It has a fairly good spec, fairly hefty spec for its price. Good size screen, high refresh rate, quad camera system in there when you've got the Pixel 4a, which has got this, this, again, we just discussed it, haven't we? Right? We discussed what's going on there. Amazing camera from Google, an OLED screen, Snapdragon 730 processor, 6 gigs of RAM, 1 to 8 gig of storage, all that, So I think it's really interesting. It's a really interesting point here to see where this sits. Obviously, the Pixel 4a is the cheapest of the lot. The OnePlus Nord is slightly more expensive at £379. And then the iPhone SE, if we're going to truly compare it, we spec the iPhone SE up to the 128 variant. That costs £469. So that's over £100 more for an iPhone SE over the Pixel 4a. So I think the differences between them depend very much on the user and what you're after, really, with a smartphone. If you want an iPhone, you want to experience iOS at a good price, then the iPhone SE is for you, no question. You're not going to go far wrong with that phone. It's got blistering performance because it's borrowing or it's taking the A13 Bionic processor, which is the same processor that's used in the flagship iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro. So you're going to have fantastic performance. It's a very lackluster design. It's sort of rehashed the design from the iPhone 8, which was again launched back in 2017. So it's a very dated looking design. Single camera system again. The lens maybe it's not quite as good. The pictures don't seem to be quite as good at the moment. They don't sort of quite stack up with what the Pixel line can deal with. But it's still a good good offering right there. And you go to the OnePlus Nord. On paper, looks like a killer device, and it is a killer device. It's got you get a lot of spec for your money here, right? You get a 90 Hz refresh rate display, a big 6.44 inch OLED display. You get a slightly better processor, the Snapdragon 765G processor with 5G compatibility. Pretty good there. One thing I would say really about the camera system on the OnePlus Nord, although it has got a quad camera system, many of the reviews have come out saying that it seems like a lot of those cameras are in there for show more than anything else, right? The cameras on a OnePlus phone never really tend to live up to kind of the quality that we would like to see. So that kind of leaves the Pixel 4a. Where does that sit for you? I think for me it's kind of a clear winner personally. I think I totally dig the Pixel line, the Pixel the software experience. The main thing for me is going to be the camera. I'm really keen to get my hands on one of these Pixel cameras again. I really missed that. Even when I went for an iPhone XS, which again had a solid camera, and I bought that flagship quality camera, I still don't think that took as good a camera photographs as my original Pixel 1. So yeah, I'm just really keen to get that. I think for the price, £349, that sort of camera quality is a really real big deal. Okay, so that's it for today. If you've got any questions or if you've got any comments about the Pixel 4a, about anything else that you've seen in the video, please do leave a comment below. Please like the video if you like what you see, and also if you want to hear more from me and you're keen to see the follow-up video, the review, the unboxing, then please do subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me. I do like doing this. It's good fun, and yeah, I love sharing my kind of thoughts and ideas and content with you guys. I think with that, I'll sign off. As always, stay safe in these uncertain times. I'll catch you all in the next one. Cheers.